A good jump in the stock price today, Bob. Do you think this is a sort of structural change in direction for the stock, having done various restructuring things, or just a short-term cyclical bounce?
Well, it's very hard to predict what the stock will do, but as far as General Motors is concerned, they're always very cautious in their forward-looking statements, and if they say that they're going to exceed 2018 earnings in 2019, it means that they see the way clear to doing that. So I have every expectation that General Motors will continue to beat earnings targets.
What is that based on, Bob, as far as you can tell? I mean, it looks like it's a mix of some of the restructuring she talked about, some of the new product lineup.
Well,
what's going right for them right now?
I'll tell you, this is the result of about the last 3 years of making a lot of very unpopular and controversial decisions, like getting out of India, which has a long-term future, but the long-term never seems to come. The same with Russia, the same with Europe, which had been generating massive losses for decades. So a lot of the way you improve earnings is by cutting out losing operations. And then there was a lot of flack recently about closing passenger car plants, but that's the right thing to do, because passenger cars, by and large, unless you're at the high end of the market, passenger cars are loss generators, even in good times. So de-emphasize passenger cars, for which there is vastly reduced demand nowadays, and concentrate on crossovers. And General Motors has a lot of new crossovers coming, predominantly in Cadillac, which has been somewhat short of them. And they're about to launch the new full-size sport utilities, the Tahoe, Yukon, and Escalade. So the product pipeline is full, it's fresh, it's all in the right part of the market, and unless we have some sort of economic Armageddon, either here or in China, which I don't think anybody expects, I think the company is exceptionally profitable right now and will continue to be so for the foreseeable future.
Bob, we were talking about the longer-term picture once, we enter into the next cycle, whatever that looks like, and how a company like GM should be kind of laying its bets in terms of new technologies and all the rest of it. Do you think GM has that sorted out right now, the amount to invest, how much of a priority to put on those things?
I would say more than any other car company I know. Everybody else is in the catch-up mode. But GM has been really working on autonomous vehicles. Remember, the first EV in the United States was produced by GM. The first plug-in hybrid was produced by GM. So there's a lot of expertise on EVs, and in the area of autonomous vehicles, General Motors has better technology than anybody else, thanks to its partial ownership of Cruise Automation. And they're also invested in what is pretty well considered to be the premier mapping company in the world right now, which is Usher, which does these digital, high-precision digital maps that are embedded in the vehicle, which is an essential component in the autonomous vehicle future. So I think Mary Barra wasn't exaggerating when she says it's all integrated, it's all in-house, and will GM continue to work with smaller specialized companies that have a bit of technology here, a bit of technology there? Sure, but the main thing is General Motors sees the autonomous and electrification future coming, and they've got the cash and the wherewithal to be a big player.
Bob, I mean, this is obviously cold comfort for those that have been affected by their plant closings that they announced in Ohio and Michigan. They received a lot of political pressure locally from President Trump. I mean, has that passed by? The president even threatened to take away subsidies for General Motors. How are they going to deal with that? I mean, that has to be part of the story here of why the guidance is raised.
Well, I don't know what subsidies General Motors gets. I mean, General Motors gets the electric vehicle subsidies like everybody else, but really nothing else that could be taken away unilaterally. Nobody likes plant closings, but it's just a necessary fact of life in the automobile business that plants get old, plants get worn out, plants are producing vehicles that are no longer in demand, and when that vehicle goes away, unfortunately, the plant has to go away. It's sad, it's the downside of a market economy, but if you don't do it, companies die, and nobody benefits from that either.